Welcome everyone, this is That Saxy Nerd, and today we're going to be speaking about a show that can easily be in my top 5, and that is Game of Thrones. Now, it's no secret that I love this show. I have followed it for many years now, and have read, well, some of the books, not all of them yet. They're kind of a beast to take on. And in the past, I've covered some stuff from like, scenes in the show to, well, my own cover of Reigns of Castamere. And if I was any good at this YouTube game, I would be getting more Game of Thrones music out right now. But I'm a lazy bastard and didn't get on that. However, I have long been waiting to make this video because I feel like to get it out right now, well, A, will be the only time I can. B, it's just best to put it out now rather than 2 years ago. And that's my theory of who will sit on the Iron Throne when it's all said and done. Now, I know lots of channels have been doing this, and I have ignored them all because I don't want to taint my views on it. So I'm just gonna kind of break down like the 5 options I see this heading to, and end on the one that I personally believe is going to happen. I'm highly doubtful that I'm the only one to come up with this conclusion. I know amongst my friends we have talked about it, and we all have kind of came to this conclusion, so clearly it's not a novel idea. So let's start out with one of these options. Cersei keeps the Iron Throne. Now, love her or hate her, Cersei, in my opinion, is the only one who has sat the Iron Throne and has actually deserved sitting it. And what I mean by that is that she worked hard and was very cunning to get there. She puts Littlefinger to shame in the last few seasons with how cunning she's become. Now, should she sit on the Iron Throne? I don't think she's the best person to rule. She's, part of that camp of cruel leaders. But like, out of everyone we've seen on it, from Robert to Joffrey and Tommen, I feel like she's actually earned it. However, do I think that this will be what will happen? Well, I mean, it could happen, but I don't think so. I'm more in the camp of that she's going to get killed. I think that Jaime will kill her for 2 reasons. Everyone knows the prophecy thing, that she'll be killed by her younger brother, and the default is that's Tyrion, but Jaime's actually younger than her, even though they're twins. And this is the kicker. I am not convinced completely that Jon Snow is Azor Ahai. I think him being Rhaegar's son was enough. I think Azor Ahai is going to be someone else, and one of my runnings for that is Jaime. Now, if you know the original story of Azor Ahai, to create the blade that he needs to kill the White Walkers, which maybe we don't really need to do because they've got Valyrian steel now, but in the legend, the guy had to kill a lion and temper the blade in the blood of a lion, and it didn't work, so then he killed the love of his life, and then that worked, because he had to sacrifice something close to him. Now, we could see this play out with Jaime and Cersei because they obviously love each other, and Cersei's a lion because she's a Lannister, and I can kind of see them going this route of repeating history of, and plus we've already seen this tension between them. So I don't think it's going to end well for Cersei. Next, Jon Snow sitting in the Iron Throne. Now, we learned at the end of last season something that everyone kind of knew already, that Jon Snow is Targaryen, and he's in fact the top inheritance of the Targaryen throne. He comes before Dany. He's the son of Rhaegar, who was the prince, so all of Rhaegar's kids come before Dany and anyone else, even if he had a daughter. However, how will this play out in the show? I don't believe Jon wants the throne. We've seen him very reluctant to being a leader, which sometimes is a really good quality, but I think something like the Iron Throne deserves some ambition and go-getterness with it. Something that we see in Dany, but not Jon. Also, if his true parentage comes up, he loses the North because he's not a Stark. I mean, he is through Lyanna, but he's not a rightful heir. The Sansa comes before him because she is the daughter of Ned Stark. So in the line of succession, the North should be Sansa's. It should be Bran's, technically, because he's a guy. This world's based on medieval society that's pretty sexist. However, Bran being, well, Bran, I doubt anyone or him wants him on the throne in the North. Really, I just see Jon and Dany getting together and restarting the Targaryen line, as they are the last 2 Targaryen. And, in the realm of Targaryens, their relationship makes sense. This is a good one that, with most shows, I wouldn't say would happen, but with this one, oh, you never know. And that's that the White Walkers just kill everybody. I think higher probability in the show than in the books. I mean, on one hand, the show wants to do more fan service, make sure the fans like the end, but on the other hand, the show's not that complex, so it might go for an easier out, which, if you want, like, a terrible ending, that would be it. I don't trust the show with the White Walkers, honestly, because when it comes to their lore, the book is much more interesting. They're not as in it as much as the show, obviously, because the show's above the book. They're, like, further along, but that whole origin story of the White Walkers being created by the Children of the Forest, that is such BS. It doesn't even fit in with the established lore. With the established lore the show had in season 3, it didn't even fit. But I digress. You know, the Ice King could end up, you know, winning. But I mean, what's the goal here? What's the goal? I mean, at least in the book world, they worship the great others. So what's the goal of the Ice King and stuff? I'm curious, because he's smart. Also, if you're up on, you know, White Walker theories, is the whole thing like maybe the White Walkers actually made that wall and stuff. So, it will be interesting to see how that war will play out. Okay, my second to last outcome that's a possibility is Gendry getting the throne. You know, the bastard son of Robert Baratheon. Now, I feel like this is a very long shot. Like, out of everyone who can get the throne between Dany and Jon and, you know, Cersei keeping it, you know, all the options, Gendry is like a very long shot. And they brought him back, so you have to wonder why. However, I don't think he'll sit on the throne. He has a very weak claim. He's already shown that he, you know, bows down to Jon and Dany, who have stronger claims than him. If they were to die, he would go up against Cersei. Yeah, he has a good claim, but he's a bastard, and she actually owns the throne. There's something to be said when you have the power yourself, and someone challenging you has to have a really good claim to actually gather support. That's not to say he can't get popular support. Maybe everyone, you know, will love him, rally behind him, and he could get the throne, but I don't think he's interested. I think he's there just to make sure that the Baratheon name goes on and that the Stormlands has a ruler. Plus, I think he's good there for Arya. And now we get to how I believe the show will actually end. Not incredibly detailed, at least, but I believe that Dany will win the Iron Throne, but with an asterisk. I think she will completely win, but I don't think she'll take the Iron Throne. We've established a pattern with Dany, and I think the show tries to do these things like maybe she's going mad, maybe she's whatever. No, she's just maturing and trying to figure out how to handle power. However, I think that when it comes to the throne itself, once she gets it, once she defeats the White Walkers and defeats Cersei, and it's all said and done, I think her dragon's going to melt that throne down. And the reason I say this is that she's increasingly, through her story arc, has been the champion of the people. She keeps saying how she wants to break the will. You don't break the will by taking the throne. It doesn't matter if you're a good ruler or not. There have been good Targaryen rulers in the past. That's not breaking the will. Breaking the will is getting rid of the throne to begin with. A, it's only a 300-year-old throne. It's not that old, folks. And B, this actually would kind of fall in line with the whole concept of the show anyway. While the show is, of course, fiction, it's loosely based on historical things. I mean, you have the Starks being the Yorks and the Lannisters being the Lancasters and that whole feud. You have Westeros basically being a stand-in for Europe / Great Britain. You have the Wall being Hadrian's Wall to keep out the Scottish, aka the Wildling. You have the Wildlings being the Scots before conquer and the North being the Scots after being conquered. Something that's not mentioned in the show very much is the Golden Empire of Yin-Ti, which, oh, come on, it take you 2 seconds to guess that's supposed to be China. So this show has things that are based on real life and history. And I think this is evidence to show that Dany will not keep the throne. So I think she'll melt down the throne and create maybe a constitutional or an elective monarchy, or some sort of primitive representative government. So if you're not familiar with what these are, constitutional monarchy is different than an absolute monarchy, which is what the Iron Throne is. A constitutional monarchy means that the king or queen has to rule within a set of laws and boundaries. Or an elective monarchy is where a group of electors basically vote for the new king. So like certain powerful families get like so many votes each, and they vote on who should be the heir. So like an example would be if Dany gets the throne and she sets up an elective monarchy, her heir might not be from her line. It could be from a whole different, powerful family in Westeros. I lean more towards constitutional monarchy because here's another reason that I think that's bad and why I think it might go to some form of primitive representative government too, is that war is bad in Westeros. Like, George R.R. Martin's pretty anti-war. Whenever he has shown us war, he has really made it look what it is, which is terrible and awful and doesn't really help anybody. Even, so everyone's behind Robb Stark. Robb Stark had a valid reason to go to war. It was an honorable reason, valid reason. Completely, if I was a lord, I would support him in going to war. But what do we see in the show? We see his own men taking advantage of people, making life miserable for common folk. Now, yeah, these were men who were way below him on the line, but these were still his soldiers. So it doesn't matter whether the North had a valid reason or an honorable reason to go to war. Common folks still get hurt. We saw when Dany attacks the Lannisters and just like fries most of their army. On one hand, we're like, go Dany, but also we just had them humanized when Arya got to meet a whole bunch of them. These are just, normal people. So war is terrible. An elective monarchy would only keep the cunning and backbiting and all the potential stuff that could lead to war that already happens between all the superpowers in Westeros. And a constitutional monarchy might be helpful, but some form of representative government or something that gives, more power towards the people. And it probably wouldn't be the people themselves, it would be the ruling class. But still, something like that could greatly limit how often war happens between the nations. And that, I think she's going to keep Westeros as one. It would be stupid to destroy that throne and just let each region do its own thing, because if you know Westeros' history, it's just constant wars. So you need some central force keeping everyone together, but it cannot be absolute. And I think that's where Dany's going, I think. And even if she keeps a constitutional monarchy, she won't keep the throne, because the throne, the Iron Throne, is synonymous with that absolute power and conquest. I think she'll melt it down and maybe make something better out of it. Anyway, that's my theory of how it will pan out. Dany will be the ultimate winner, but she will change the whole way it works. She will break that wheel. I think she might have to be nudged a bit by Tyrion to get there, but I truly think she's going to change things and make it a constitutional monarchy or some sort of early form of representative government. Okay, if you like this video, of course, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Go check out my Reigns of Castamere song if you want. And yes, Game of Thrones is going off the air this year, but that doesn't mean there's not still plenty of things to talk about, and I am going to get to some ideas I've permanently set aside, while others I'm going to move forward with even after the show's done, because there's more of this world that we can explore together. So be on the lookout for more Game of Thrones videos, and as always, stay saxy, everyone.